Hello, and welcome to part 12 of our Serendipity Booksellers C++ software development project. And in this part, we will be dealing or doing some file operations. We will change the input for our application to come from a binary file. We will be reading from the file and we'll be writing into the file. It's gonna be basically our kind of like our database for our bookseller store. So, like I said, for this chapter's assignment, we are going to modify the program so it works with an inventory file instead of an array of structures. You will still keep the book data structure declarations you created in chapter 11, however, it will now be used to define the records in the file. Now we will include the appropriate header file and decide whether you want to define the file stream object for the inventory file. Now, one approach is to define a global file. Another approach is to define the object only in the functions that need to open the file and then pass references to it to functions that need to work with the file. Okay, so the way I'm going to be approaching this is fairly simple and kind of streamlined. We will open the file when we first start the application. I mean, there is no point to even run the application if there's no inventory. So we will open it in our main menu.cpp file. We will then read the file and read the data from the file into our structure or array structures. For the books and authors and publishers, and all the information will be pulled from the inventory file into the structure array. So we will, when the program runs, when we manipulate any of the arrays, the arrays will obviously be changing, and at the end, when we exit the program, all the changes will be written into the file. So we will modify really only main menu.cpp. We will modify it at the beginning when the program starts, and at the end, when the program exits, we will write a new file. Now, a few things to realize. When we first run the application, we don't have the file yet. So what we need to do, if there is no file created yet, we have to create it. Otherwise, again, there's no point. There's no books, there's no inventory, so what's the point? So we will create a file. Now, when the file is created, it's still empty. So we need to prompt the user, all right, here's the file, but it's empty. So you first need to add some books into the inventory to work with. Otherwise, it's just have no books in the inventory. Again, no point of running the program. So once the books are added, the program exits afterwards, after all the books are added, and then when we run it again, the file is already created, it has some records in it, so now we work with those files. We still can add more, we can delete, we can edit, just like we did with the regular arrays, because again, we will be working actually with arrays. Just the changes will be saved into an actual binary file, and all the data will be read from that binary file. All right, enough talking, let's do some coding. So first, since we are going to be working with file streams, we need to include our header library fstream. So here's our book structures, and I'm going to create a constant. This is gonna be constant of array, a C string basically. I'll just call it fname for file name, and I'll call it inventory dot. That's our file name. That's what we will be reading from and writing to. And now I'm going to create a global file stream, fstream. I'll call it inventory file. So now I have access to it throughout the program because it's global. So over here we display our menu, but before we even do that, we want to read the file. Again, we want to make sure there's actually a file, and if it's not, we want to create one. So above the while loop, I'm going to open the file for reading. So I'm opening the fname, and I'm opening it to the input for reading, and it's going to be a binary. Alright, so now we have the file open. Well, we're attempting to have it open. We don't know if it opened yet. We have to check if it actually failed. Alright, so if it failed, it means it couldn't open it. It means it doesn't exist. We'll create it. And that's going to be really only the first time we ever run the program, because like I said before, we will prompt the user to add some books right after that. So we will do if the inventory file fail, if you cannot open it, then we'll create it. So file name, we will open it for output this time, because we are going to write or create it. File open. So it's gonna be fname. Once again, it's gonna be iOS, but this time out for output, and it's gonna be binary. So we will open that, and now that basically creates an empty file. So we can now close it. Inventory file dot close, and we can also do the clear command as well. So inventory file dot clear. So file is created, it's empty. So what do? We need to tell the user, hey, the file was created, now add some books. So we will simply output on a screen, file created, you first need to add books to the inventory, and on a new line we will just ask him to press enter to continue. And when the user presses enter, we'll redirect him to the add book function, so the user can add books. So we will do add book. Alright, so that's if the file fails. Now if it opens, then we'll read from it, and we'll read from it and place all the data from it into our arrays or the structures. So we will create a we need a counter, so we will do counter or an index. Counter start at 0, and now we will do while the inventory file, while it's not the end of file. And also remember, we only have our arrays described as with 20 elements, so we have to also check that we don't try to read more than that into our arrays. Misspelled that. So while it's not the end of file, and while the counter is less than 20, then we will read. So we will first find the position in the file. Remember, this is a binary file, so we will seek the next position. It will be counter, and remember, we have the 51 characters that we decided to have for as the maximum C string. So we will do the size of the book. all of it, like all the records for the book, will be read for one particular record, and we'll do also the beginning. All right, now we seek the position. Now we can read it from it. So our inventory file .read, and we'll use the reinterpret cast because this is a structure. There's some C strings, there's some integers, for the quantity. So we will simply do reinterpret cast, and we are reinterpreting the character for the book. All right. And again, the size of the whole record for the book. So now that will read the file. We have one record for the whole book. We have the publisher, the author, the title, and everything with it. So now we're going to store the data that was read and reinterpret it into the file. So we will simply do the book counter. And that now we have the record in our book array or the structure. Of course, we have to also increase the counter for the next iteration. So when this is over, when the while loop is over, we will again just close the file and clear it. Oops. And this is basically all there is to do with when we're reading the file. Now, like I said, this is just now we have in an array, we can do all the manipulation like we did before. But of course, now we have to actually save it. So when we exit the program, when the user says, all right, this is it, exit, what we will do is replace the file that was read with a new file that already has all the changes and everything in it. So we'll go into our case 4 over here. I'm gonna remove this, and I'm gonna do inventory file. Once again, I'm going to seek the position. And I'm going to, oh, I'm sorry. No, first I'm going to open it because I'm going to replace it. So it's gonna be once again just for output. Basically, this creates an empty file, and we will then populate it with the updated arrays. So basically, we will loop through all the arrays and write the new data or the new records into the file. So we will do our for loop, integer I equals 0, I is less than the number of books, and I plus plus. And I just realized I have this number of books over here, but in my over here, instead of the counter is instead of writing 20, I'll do less than number of books. So when I change that, I don't have to go around and keep looking for whether I hard-coded the number 20 in it. Okay, so we have our for loop, and now I will seek the position where I'm going to write. So seek position, and it's going to be over here. When we are reading it before, we had the counter. Now we have the counter as well, but it's basically I this time. So it's gonna be I multiplied by size of the book and size of book, and once again from the beginning. Oh, just back like that. And now we will write the record into the file, and it's gonna be very similar like we did before. We'll use the reinterpret, but this time instead of read, we will do write. We will do reinterpret cast, Once again, it's gonna be the character, and we'll doing it for the book. And once again, it's the size of the book. All right, and just like we did before when we are reading it, now we have the record, so I can do our... Actually, I don't even need that. So this should be really all for the writing. Well, after that, we can of course close it. So I'm going to close the file just like I did before. So I'm just gonna do inventory file close and clear, which doesn't even matter because the program exits at this point anyway. So, but it's a good practice, I guess. So what do I have here? Why is it? I have a cost. I have the book. Oh, I have too many parentheses here. That's better. All right, and that should be actually all. So let me test that. Let's build it and run it. Let's see if we have any errors there. So, and it runs and it says file was created, but you first need to add book to the inventory. Press enter to continue because we don't have the file filled with any books yet. So when I press enter, it goes to the add book function and it asks for the enter the title. So I'll do title 1, ISBN 1, author 1, publisher 1, date edit, let's do it today, 2016, let's do 5, wholesale price 10 and 15, and then it goes back to the main menu. Now we have one book which is right now stored in the structure array. If I go to our report module and inventory listing, here's my title. So let me exit the program. I'll press 4 to exit. And if I run it again, the book should be there. So I run it. I'll go to report module. And here it is, because it's saved in the file. And as you see, this time, it didn't prompt us to enter any books because we already have a record there. But let's do, let's add some more books. So I'll go to inventory database, add more books, title 2, ISBN 2, author 2, publisher 2. Let's do this one, 6/17, 2016. Let's say we have, I don't know, 20 of these. The price is 25, and retail will be 35. So now we have 2 books. Let's see. Let's exit the program to test if it was written correctly. Again, it runs, and I'll go to report module, and I have 2 titles now. All right, so let's test some other things. Let's edit something. So number 3, edit books record. It prompts us to search for the title. So I do the partial search. It asks, is this the match? I say, no, it's the title 2. All right, this one. And ask, what do you want to change? I don't know. I'll change quantity on hand. So it says quantity on hand is not 20, but I change it to 19. And if I run the report now, it will show 19. But again, remember, this is still just in the array. This is actually has been written into the file yet. But let's do it anyway. So you can see that over here it's 19 now. So, and if I exit the program all the way and run it again, it should say that I have 19 books, and it does right here. Okay, so that's that was edit. Now let's do cashier module, because remember, this is an inventory. So if we run if we buy some books, we have to like let's say I have quantity on hand. If I buy 3 of them, I will only have 2 left. So let me test if that actually is going to work. So let's go to cashier module, ISBN. So let's do ISBN 1. And I have 5 of these. I'm going to buy 3. And I'm gonna buy some books from the title 2. So another order, and it's gonna be ISBN 2. And quantity, I have 19 currently, so let's order 9, and I will have 10 left. So that's all I have. So this is what I want to buy. ISBN 1, Title 2. This is our total. And that's our shopping. So if I exit now and start the program, it should reflect the new updated inventory. So if I go to report and again to the listing, and you can see the quantity on hand for title 2 is now, for title 1 is 2, and for title 2 is 10 because we bought 9 of them. So that actually is working too. And finally, let's see if we can delete anything. So I'll go to delete a book. And again, it's asking me for the title. I'm gonna delete, I don't know, title 2. So I'm gonna delete, this one. Asking me, do you wanna delete it? I say yes. So if I run a report now, again, this is just the erase. This is not actually written in the file. The file still actually has both titles. But let's see how it is with the report. And I have only title 1. So if I exit all the way at the end of the day and come back next day, start the program, and I run the inventory, what do I have? I'm sorry, that was not inventory. When I run the report, and the file only has now title 1 because title 2 was deleted. So all right, so that's basically how the file operations work. Now, one more thing, if you are using Visual Studio, the file doesn't show here yet. You have to first refresh. So I'm gonna go show all files, and here it is now, inventory.date, or DAT. And you can see that it has like this red icon there. And if you go to the properties, if you click on the file, on the properties, it says included in project, and it says false. Now, it doesn't matter. It still reads it and writes into it. But you can, if you want to include it in the project, you just change the false to true, and the red icon goes away. Now the project is the file is included. Nothing changes if I run it now. It's gonna be the same way like it was. If I run the report module, it still just does the title 1. Let me actually do an edit just to make sure that it works really like as supposed to. All right, let's add a book. So I'm gonna add title 3 this time. 3 for free. 6 15 2016. I don't know, 50 75 is the price and 100 is retail. And exit. And if I run it, the file is now included in the project, but like I said, it will be no different than when it wasn't. Now I have 2 titles, title 1 and title 3. So that still works. It still reads and writes as expected. All right, so this is one way to do it. I mean, you could do it other ways. You could every time you modify anything, you can write it directly into the file. When you edit something, after you press Y, yes, save the changes, it writes into the file. That's how database would work. Every time you change anything, the database is instantly updated. In this case, I think this is just as well. I mean, you open the file at the beginning, and then you override it with all the changes at the end of the day. Basically, the shopping is done the same way, and the inventory gets updated only once a day, though, at the end when you exit the application. All right, so this was part 12, and I hope I'll see you in part 13. See you then. Take care.